This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hi everybody, and welcome to show 202. I'm lucky enough to have Garth. How are you, buddy?
G'day, Michael. How are you?
Very
I made
good,
it.
mate.
I'm running
Mate.
late. I've kept Michael up waiting for me, but I'm here.
Yeah, and Nick was getting very frustrated. He was tapping his foot. You know what he's like as the boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Executive producer has spoken.
that's right. Who are we to talk back? So don't forget, we are presented by athwebhosting.com.au. The affordable plans, the 99+% uptime, the domain registration, the setup, the auto setup, using cPanel, the industry standard, which is a user-friendly, feature-rich control panel. And it all starts at $5.95 per month when paid annually, with 24/7 ticket support system and a friendly help when needed. So our little Aussie Apple Ramblings this week. The 11 rules for success a former Apple employee got on his first day. So former Apple employee shared a little bit of inspiration and motivation on Reddit earlier this week. Huxley Dunsey posted a set of 11 rules for success that were attached to the back of his employee badge when he started at Apple in 2004. The JB referred to on the card is John Brandon, who was Vice President of Sales in the US and Pacific for Apple. He was a great guy in my interactions with him, despite his lofty position relative to my total noob status back then. He really seemed to live by these rules and made the whole organisation feel like something really special, even when Apple was still climbing out of the beleaguered status, Dunsey wrote. In 2004, Apple was not the giant it is today, and it had just launched the first iPad mini. Steve Jobs was still CEO, and the first projects that would become the iPhone were just getting started in Cupertino, California. One of Dunsey's favourite rules is number 5, everyone sweeps the floor. It means that no job is too low level or unimportant for anyone to help with. In other words, don't get a big head just because you work for Apple or you got a promotion or you're making X dollars per year. The basics still matter, and you'll always be expected to help regardless of how high up you rise or how fancy you think you are, he wrote. Dunsey worked in a sales position in retail called Apple Solutions Consultant, but the lessons are broadly applicable to a variety of jobs and careers. So as we put it up on the screen, here's the full list. 1. Let go of the old and make the most of the future. 2. Always tell the truth. We want to hear the bad news sooner than later. 3. The highest level of integrity is expected. When in doubt, ask. 4. Learn to be a good business person, not just a good salesperson. 5. Everyone sweeps the floor. 6. Be professional in your style, speech, and follow-up. 7. Listen to the customer. They almost always get it. 8. Yeah, well, that's right. Create win-win relationships with our partners. 9. Look out for each other. Sharing information is a good thing. 10. Don't take yourself too seriously. And number 11, have fun. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So, are they worth living by?
Oh, apparently. Who are we to argue? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought there was one or two ironic ones in the current climate, that's all.
Yeah.
Sharing is caring. Except for when it's HomePod hardware.
Yeah.
Yes, firmware.
Whoops. So yeah, there's a link in the notes there.
Yeah. No, there's some good, absolutely good tenants to provide to your new stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Gmail iOS app will now warn you about phishing attempts. Please don't fail on us now, young man. Back in May, Google updated its Gmail app on Android to warn about phishing attempts. It is now rather belatedly bringing that same protection to the iOS app. The protection kicks in if you click on a sketchy link in an email with 2 different levels of warnings. If Google knows the site to be a phishing operation, it will tell you the site you are trying to visit has been identified as forgery intended to trick you into disclosing financial, personal, or other sensitive information. Now, if the site is suspected to be sketchy, but the company is not yet 100% certain, a different warning is displayed. This link leads to an untrusted site. Are you sure you want to proceed? And for identified phishing sites, there is a link to report false positives. So just so you know.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
the more we can get, the better of that sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of that I've noticed in Safari as well.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of increased under iOS 11 in the beta at least.
Yeah.
It'll give you even to the I don't remember seeing this before, but if you're going to a website where you put in your username and password, and that initial page is not secure, it'll give you the warning there as well.
Yeah, that's the new iOS 11 bits. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Basically, we're going to end up with a whitelist for our life, I think.
Let's hope it doesn't get quite to that far. But
yeah. I can't drive today, darling. The roads to the left are a bit tacky, so I don't think I should be going down that way.
Well, that's what it's going to be like in the Tesla too. You know? Can they go down these roads? Sorry.
Well, you never get to King's Cross, will you? You can drive under the bridge and look at the Coca-Cola sign, but it'll never take you down the main drag.
Yeah.
Emergency services organisations call for Apple to implement life-saving location feature. And I thought this was already on, but anyway, maybe only when it's from the watch. Emergency services organisations around the world are calling on Apple to implement a location feature which they say would save thousands of lives. Advanced mobile location is a capability built into carrier networks which can automatically identify the exact position of someone making an emergency call with pinpoint accuracy. Google added support for it in Android last year, but Apple has so far not responded to requests to implement it in iOS. Many times when people make calls to emergency services, they aren't able to provide an accurate location. It is common for callers to give either a vague location or an inaccurate one. Now, a couple of examples. An emergency call was dialed from a small town in Estonia. The callers were children who informed the call taker that the toaster is on fire. They were not aware of their exact address. They knew the street name and flat number, but not the house number. The call taker used the location information received with emergency location service, and she quickly found the right house. The Estonian service gave a dispatch order to rescue an ambulance unit who quickly arrived at the scene and helped the children. Or in January 2017, an emergency call was received by a public safety answering point in Lithuania. The caller appeared to be a 7-year-old boy who found his father unconscious or dead. He informed the operator that he didn't know his address or the telephone number of any of his relatives. Cell ID location received by the emergency service had a radius of 14 kilometres. Fortunately, the operator received the Android emergency location with a radius of 6 metres, and the police and ambulance services were dispatched, and the emergency responders provided medical care to the man, who is now fully recovered. So that's just an example of why we want it. That's why I thought, is it only from the watch and not in the phone?
I know. I've never heard. I haven't heard of this before. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it will be cooler when Apple supports it.
Yeah. Because like we've had one where
Yeah.
there was a lady who'd driven off the side of the road, and she was in like a pit just on the side of the road. But emergency
Yeah.
services drove back and forward over hours trying to find her.
Trying to find where it was.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And she'd rung up and said, I've driven off the road and I'm stuck in my car, but it took them ages to find us. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, I've got a mate who's he does the next part up from the NRMA answering calls. He looks
Okay.
after people who've got, they're on trips or, that sort of thing where you have a higher rate and you get better towing and blah, 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 or you might be in your
Right,
motorhome.
yep.
But you get people who have no idea where they are, and they say they're on the road from Goulburn to Canberra, which is one that I know about, but they weren't on the main road from Goulburn to Canberra, but she didn't know the difference.
Yeah, right.
She was on the road from Goulburn via Collector to Canberra, which
Okay.
no one uses anymore. You used to drive
Yeah,
through
right.
Collector, but it's just one of those roads that don't get used anymore. So it was hours before she got a car fixed, and it's not one where you can even go and get water or things like that.
No, it's one of the. With a lot of that sort of thing, you'd think there would be the GPS stuff would,
Yeah,
with things like RNMA, RACQ, that sort of thing, they could have an app that would surely be able to send, if the way you contacted them was through an app, for example.
yeah. Well, they do have
that
an
had
app, and it
location.
has got better, but these were just phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things, and also you get someone who's 86 and just a little bit vague, doesn't necessarily know all about all the GPS and stuff on a phone, just needs to ring the NRMA and
Yeah.
probably got the phone number off the NRMA card in the, on the key ring or something. So, but yes, so please Apple, I think that's one that we can ask for implementation or making it more widely available or something. Now, Apple Watch app tracks viewer heart rate spikes during Game of Thrones.
This is ridiculous, isn't it? It's hilarious.
4 out of the top 5 scenes to cause high pulse rates in viewers centered around drama between characters rather than violence, the Cardiogram app found. 300 people were enrolled into the app's Cardiogram Habits feature, entitled What Game of Thrones Does to Your Heart Rate. It reminded users to turn on continuous heart rate recording on their Apple Watch at 8:45 p.m. US time on Sundays, and approximately 2.3 million measurements were taken across the first 4 episodes of the current 7th season, with the high frequency of measurements allowing the startup to spot trends based on what was happening on the screen. Now, the event with the highest average pulse rate so far was Jaime Lannister's charge against Daenerys Targaryen and Drogon. I've got no idea I'm saying it right because I don't watch it.
No, don't worry.
An
Close
action
enough, I'm
scene
sure.
that focused on conflict between 2 main characters, preceded by another scene concerning Tyrion Lannister's internal conflict. The scene achieved an average heart rate of 91 beats per minute, higher than second place moment by 8 beats per minute. So we've got a link to a full story there. It does go into detail.
There mustn't have been any raunchy scenes in it.
And I think also the producers of Game of Thrones, their heart rate's probably pretty high because there's complaints about it being some
Only 6 seasons.
Some baddies have got hold of it and were holding him to ransom about not releasing it early.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe their heart rate was off the scale.
It's pretty crazy though, having that sort of viewer feedback.
Yeah.
It's the next step, I guess, to actually, like in the old days, they'd have a test audience. Well, now though, you've got
yeah.
you've
Does
got
that
this
mean
whole population.
they change their writing?
Yeah.
So
Seasons, from the first couple of episodes, we know that these are the things that really get people's heart rate going. So
yeah. So don't forget, our other friends at Aussie Tech Radio with aussietechradio.com, our Aussie Tech Security Podcast, and our award-winning, I can't push it enough, Aussie Tech
I
Heads
think you can. I think you have, in fact.
When they're the most appreciated podcast of tech in Australia, I'm happy to push it. So, don't forget all the boys there, Aussie Tech Heads podcast. We haven't picked on them enough lately, so don't forget them. They're very, very enjoyable to listen to. Now, here's one that goes with part of last year's show, which I'll bring up in a minute. Last week's show, not our show. E-divorce. How artificial intelligence could help Australian couples break up quickly and cheaply. So the federal government has granted $341,000 to National Legal Aid to investigate creating a system that could reduce the number of long and expensive divorce proceedings. The scoping project will be managed by the South Australian Legal Services Commission, and NLA Chairman Graham Hill said that artificial intelligence could be used to deliver low-cost, user-friendly legal assistance to help separating couples identify their differences and work through them. So family breakdowns are invariably awful, and so too are the legal disputes that often follow them. Too often, these disputes prove to be too expensive, too time-consuming, too painful, and too adversarial for all parties, he said. I estimate 20% of all family disputes in Australia could, in the future, be resolved through online dispute resolution. This technology could save thousands of hours in court time. So, again, I've got a link to the full story there. Does that mean we're just going to each get on the end of a phone and some robot voice is going to ask us some questions, and and we know how frustrating that gets already.
I know. Just trying to get through to the right department in the phone company is hard enough, let alone doing that.
And does that mean at the end of it we're going to go, my wife's not really that bad, so I'll put up with her?
It's better than trying to sit through doing that.
Yeah. But they had last week's on Channel 2. They had a good show on AI, and they were showing about court. There's almost no point in having a solicitor, because the computer can look up certain questions and rulings and get a better idea than the solicitors could at such a faster rate. So, the computer could give you a better answer at a lot faster rate than the solicitor. So why am I paying the solicitor? Yeah, exactly. Well, the solicitor says, oh, hang on a sec, I'll just look it up, and it gets the answer. So, again, why am I paying the solicitor when I could be paying a legal aid as opposed to a solicitor? You know what I mean? Like, it was all about what's going to happen to your job with artificial intelligence, and that was just one of the examples of how fast it was and how much difference it's made already. That was just one fraction of the show. It was a great show on Channel 2.
I'll have to look that one up. Yeah.
And just again, Catalyst starts again tomorrow night with again on artificial intelligence, I think. So this one I'm a bit confused about. There's a song meant to spoof car audio systems climbs into top 50 on Apple's iTunes charts. A track consisting of nothing but 9 minutes and 58 seconds of silence is currently sitting at 49th place in Apple's iTunes charts, apparently out of frustration with the way many car audio systems work. So I'm not quite sure. Does that mean that the Bluetooth drops out all the time and you just hear nothing and then you realise it?
Not sure.
So, but 9 minutes and 58 seconds of silence. And And I can remember something on Spicks and Specs one night. There was a guy wrote a music thing that was like 9 minutes and 58 seconds of silence, and then he sued someone because they'd put 20 seconds of silence in their song, and he was saying, "Oh, they'd copied me," and and apparently he won the case.
No. Yeah. Oh God.
So yeah. So does that mean look out for a lawsuit? Whoever wrote that 9 minutes and 50 seconds of silence.
I'll make sure there's no seconds of silence in these podcasts.
Yeah.
Someone talk all the time. No silence. Quick.
Come on, Nick. It's up to you, mate. Cover for
Fill
us.
in the gaps. While Michael's thinking and I'm busy trying to do something else quickly, then you.
Inside iOS 11. So here's just a little tidbit of what's coming up. AirPod controls expand with a separate left-right earpiece taps, and they have a skip track ability. Apple's AirPods are currently limited to a trio of controls on both earpieces, but the functionality will be greatly enhanced this fall with the release of iOS 11. So that's just something to look forward to. More and more control without having to spend any more money. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got my right ear doing Siri and my left ear doing the play pause still.
Yeah, excellent.
And you know what? I think I'm just going to turn it back to both of them doing play pause because that's the one I prefer. But still, it's cool.
I always ask. I see someone with Apple's AirPods in, and I always ask what they think, and they go they're great. And whether they're using one at a time. The last guy was a petrol sales person. They just had one in, and they said we can use it all day. And I don't, I can answer calls while I'm talking to customers and things, and the boss doesn't matter. That
Mind.
So it's just
well,
one
no,
of those
just
things.
one of the two. Pretty hard to miss, actually, I suppose.
Yeah. So it's they are slowly. There is slowly you see more and more people with them. I must admit. Now, I had a call this week. The person was having a problem. The Safari was downloading instead of displaying the page when they clicked on a link. I don't know whether you've ever seen that, where you just normally you click the link and it opens that page for you, but automatically it was just showing that signal where the little icon goes up and down into the downloads buttons.
It was just downloading HTML of it.
Yeah, it was just
HTML file.
Every time, boom.
Very
download.
weird.
Very frustrating too.
Yeah, kinda.
So you look at a story and you click on it and it goes download. You wouldn't be able to get to the story unless you knew what the link was.
You try right-click in new window or whatever?
It was just very annoying. So we cleared the history in case it was some sort of little tricky bit of software floating around in the background. In Safari by going to the Safari menu, clear history. We did that was without success, and we did the last hour, and we did today and yesterday. Then we quit Safari and moved the contents of the Safari folder, which was in the users folder, library, and Safari. And notice I said the contents of the folder. I left the folder there and just moved the contents of it out. And to get to the library folder in the user folder, you've got to remember to hold down the option key and select library from the go menu when you're in the folder. Then we restarted the Mac, and then it all worked properly again. So there was something had gone wrong in that. Sorry, I missed one line there. I'd already done the P list where you went and changed that, but that didn't solve it either, and it was something in that Safari folder that was causing the challenge. So it was very annoying.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one before.
Took a little while to find, but we found it.
Well, found a way around it.
Yeah.
And fixed it, yeah, absolutely.
It's just one of those things. I couldn't tell you what was causing it. And if you're looking it up, you say, Safari downloads, then it tells you how to get it to download, or because people sometimes want to save a page and things like that. But there wasn't very much on what to do when something was going wrong.
No.
No. So, you got a little trick for me? Anything up your sleeve this week? You've always got things up your sleeve, I know. So.
Oh, geez. What are we going? We're going to do another iOS 11 one since we've done an AirPod one.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love with iOS and iCloud Keychain is that in Safari, so I know on iOS 10, and we've covered this one before, if you want to have a look at the username and passwords that you have saved in iCloud Keychain, you can go into settings, into Safari, into passwords. You'll get a little Touch ID prompt to open up iCloud Keychain, and there you are, all your saved passwords. So if you need to log into a site, or you need the credentials for a different computer or something like that, you've got them all there, right there in your hand, in settings, Safari passwords. Under, a lot of people would never have found those there or even thought to look there. So under iOS 11, they've made them a little bit more obvious. Right in the top level of settings, there's a usernames and passwords option.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, you can go in there and all your Safari, I think it calls it like Safari saved passwords or something like that.
Yeah.
And click on that. Once again, Touch ID, in you go, and all your usernames and usernames and passwords, nice and handy to log in.
All right. Yeah, that's right. And it's one of those things that we're just going to get better at, and we're going to get hammered with shortly. But yeah. Remember, we can do the public beta if you want to download it. It is very, very stable now. So,
it's getting better, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting better because the developers are catching up with their apps as well. So, yeah, I haven't got any more.
No.
Run out of things to say again. Keep people happy. But never going silent. We're not doing silent.
No, I'll make sure in post there's no silence. There you go.
So
All right,
thank you
Michael.
to our listeners, our sponsors, and our supporters. Yeah.
Thank you, indeed.
And I will have some reviews up this week for some awesome little iPhone cases that I've been using on my iPhone 6 Plus.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I need a new iPhone 6 Plus case too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're interesting.
I'll check out the review.
Yeah, very good. Just one of them's got even on the front of the leather, it's just got this area where you can swipe to answer the phone, and works great. So
Okay.
you don't even have to open the case to answer the phone. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Little things like that all make a difference. So yeah, I'll have the report on those. So
Very good.
thank you, everybody. All the best.
Thanks a lot, guys.